70.
Welcome to Prime Plus, for and about seniors, where it's cool to be a senior. This segment is going to be called, from now on, Ask John, because I found out that John Skirvin can answer any question that I might throw at him about seniors, because you haven't been a senior for 45 years. You've been serving seniors for 45 years.
That's right. And the right answer is 461-9481. That's our phone number.
Get it out there early. That's right. John, you're the executive director, president of Senior Services Southeast Virginia. Do I have to say that every time I introduce you?
Actually, yes, you do. I'm actually the chief executive officer of Senior Services of Southeastern Virginia, which is the trade name for the Southeastern Virginia Area-Wide Model Program Incorporated.
Now, is that what you were 20 years ago when I interviewed you on Norfolk Perspectives?
Exactly.
That was my question, because this is going to be a conversation between you and me.
And I have to say that we've, since you've become the grand poobah at Norfolk Senior Center Prime Plus, it's been like a wind of fresh air. And you and I have gotten to know each other over these past few months. And sort of like on your second day of the job, I threw you a curveball, you put your glove up in the air, you caught it, and together we're going to open up the Mary Ellen Cox Center for Caregiving on or about November 1st, which is just a wonderful thing to do together.
You know, and that sounds like a business venture. And one of the things that Prime Plus has, we have the active side, but we also have the adult day service, which is probably the number one service you can provide a caregiver. Because quite often what I'm finding in my observations is that we have a husband and wife who are now empty nesters. And they'll say, we got empty bedrooms. Why don't we take in mom and dad? Life changes with that decision, doesn't it?
It does. It absolutely does. Senior Services is the area agency on aging for all of southeastern Virginia. And if I may, we are one of 622 area agencies nationally, and here in Hampton Roads, our nearest neighbor is the Peninsula Agency on Aging, and I wasn't kidding. Our phone number is 461-9481, and on the Peninsula, it's 873-0547, 873-0547. So the idea is that anywhere in the United States, if you have a loved one who's an older adult and they need help or need to find out where services are, they can call one of us. And so we have been partners with Prime Plus certainly since before I got here in 1990. I worked at the Area Agency on Aging in Philadelphia. And so we are able to provide some federal and state funding that come to us, which we then grant to Prime for the purpose of providing services and meals. And that's something we didn't talk about. And Christine, we were talking about health. Mm-hmm. Nutrition is a core part of that. Yes. And at Prime Plus, there are nutritious noontime meals, and Senior Services offers those at 14 other locations throughout the region. So, go ahead, Bob. Ask me a question.
Yeah, well, I'm just sitting here listening. No, it is really good stuff, and I think we've got a very comprehensive approach to seniors. What I sense, though, is there are all these services out there. And it's similar to when I worked with Norfolk Works. Everybody wants to hire a sailor, but a sailor would come in and say, I don't have a job. How could I get one? Same thing with seniors. Quite often, they are not aware of what's going on. So one of the things I want to do with this Ask John in future shows, too, is go through some of the opportunities that seniors have. Because it can be, as Christine said earlier in the show, complicated.
Well, yeah, and so health is not merely the absence of disease. It really is holistic, as you were saying. And, Bill, you were talking about transportation, which really is empowerment, and in our region is a real challenge. As the area agency, we do four things. We plan for the needs of older people. We administer the funds that come in from the federal and state governments into the region, and we are stewards of those funds. We serve directly and through subcontract, and then we are advocates. One of the beautiful things that we have the responsibility to do is to really let our elected officials know, that's local, state, and federal, about the needs of older adults and aggressively go after additional resources or better policies for them. So in terms of our role as planning, we actually produce a plan for services, and in order to do that, we ask seniors, so what do you need? We ask caregivers, and really almost all of the care in the United States is given by families. It is a myth that families abandon their aging. Mm-hmm. And what seniors tell us is their number one need is, what's number 1, 2, or 3, affordable housing, transportation, help with medications. And so with HRT in our region, it's restricted from doing paratransit to 3/4 of a mile on each side of a fixed route. So like the Mary Ellen Cox Daycare Center is 850 feet, count them, over the border. So HRT can't take a person in a wheelchair to Mary Ellen Cox. What's up with that? Okay. Right. Well, we should be talking to Bobby Scott. Okay. We should be talking to Mark Warner. That's a federal law. All right. So what happens is Senior Services has a service called iRide. And that is demand response transportation. We have a fleet of 50 vehicles. Remember, we're regional. About half of our vehicles are wheelchair. And so we really are able to take requests for rides and fill them to the extent that we can. But I'll tell you, we're turning down 70 to 100 people a month. It's just such a huge demand. 1 in 5 seniors don't drive. Another major program we have is Meals on Wheels. And I got to tell you this joke. So there's these mice.
Oh, I've heard your jokes, John.
No. This is clean. So there's these mice, and they go to heaven. And they look at heaven, and they say to God, God, this is a pretty big place. I got just the answer for you. He gives them all roller skates. And so they're roller skating around heaven, and everything is really good for them. And 3 cats come to heaven because, And so God looks at them, and he says, so welcome to heaven, cats. And they said, fine, we'll find our own way around. And about a week later, God runs into the cats, and he says, so cats, what do you think about heaven? How you doing? He goes, we really like those Meals on Wheels.
Oh. Okay, I'm trying to transition on that one. I knew that would be a challenge with you coming on the air. Okay, you talked about advocacy because we are about ready to burp into seniorhood, the largest generation, the healthiest, the wealthiest, baby boomers, some of us sitting around this table, but they're also the most in denial. So when you say, let's get involved, hey, you know what? I'm not going to, that brick wall that hit my parents isn't going to hit me.
Oh, no, that's not exactly right.
Really?
Oh, yeah. The largest segment of the population that votes are senior citizens.
Yeah.
The largest segment of the population that volunteers, by the way, are also people 70 and older.
So we can't let them go silent on us.
Oh, no. And I think, and you got to remember that seniors are diverse. And so we're going to have political views based on how we grew up and the culture around us. Senior citizens are not a monolithic voting bloc. When it comes to issues such as transportation or housing or national defense, we've all got our own ideas, and we're going to advocate for that. When it comes to health care, then Medicare is one of the best-loved programs in the United States.
And we're starting to hear that, actually.
Yeah. But you have a large block of seniors that are pushing against the Affordable Care Act. Well, excuse me, but what is government health care? It's called Medicare. Mm-hmm. I wanted to just, if I could, segue real quick into we've got some events coming up. One is an evening with Mark Twain. I'll be honest, it's a fundraiser at the Suffolk Center for Cultural Arts. But Samuel Clemens' relative, his, I guess, like a grandson or great-grandson, actually does an impersonation thing. And so that's going to be on September 28th at the Suffolk Center. On October 5th, and this is really important, we realize that in our region we have 82,000 veterans that are between the ages of 45 and 64, and we have 50,000 veterans that are over the age of 50. Now, there's been a big effort to improve the access to services through the United Way called Mission United. And what we're doing at Senior Services is connecting with the veteran service organizations. It's like a meet and greet. So I'm hoping there's a lot of people listening this morning. We are looking for the veteran service officers and the commanders for all of the various Veterans Service Organization posts in the region. We're hosting a meet and greet on October 5th. And to get into that, all you got to do is call 461-9481. And then on November 1st, we are doing the Art of Healthy Aging, which is a major conference, which is a wonderful thing, up at the Virginia Beach Convention Center, and we are doing a salute to caregivers. So if you know a caregiver that you think has just done a marvelous job, you can nominate them to be either a family caregiver of the year or a professional caregiver. And I, in my own life, with my own mom and dad, my brother, sister, and I took care of my mom until she passed, and then my father as well. But we really relied on the home health agency folks, the nurses, to help us with that. So at Senior Services, we really appreciate and want to honor the caregivers in our crowds.
Yeah, let's talk about who some of. What do you see as a caregiver? When you say caregiver, who is it?
Okay, it's a person who is doing something for their older relative that older relative needs help in doing. So it could be taking them shopping. It could actually, in our case, my mother had emphysema. Do not smoke, and if you do, quit. Okay, so, and she was so weak due to the emphysema that we had to actually give her baths. She was in the bed. We had to prepare all of her meals, or taking Auntie to church on Sunday. So but what it is the connection about making sure that people are connected and not isolated, because isolation will result in a person's health declining even more. I think being a senior citizen is a hoot. And I see people as we age not retreating, not becoming sedentary, but more going towards things. What we do at our senior centers and what you do at Primeplus is, okay, so what are your goals? And if your goal is to be a super senior Olympian, by God, we'll help you do it. All right? If it's to learn how to use that darn computer so you can talk with your grandson, we'll help you do that too. And at Senior Services, our job is to keep people in their own homes and keep them out of nursing homes.
John, I think the best way for me to summarize that was with one of our members. I shared a phone conversation I had with a senior, and it didn't go well. And he said, well, just bring her in here. We'll talk to her. Building that community where peer-to-peer can be put together. I got to say that Anthem Health Keepers Plus has been offering benefits that keep their members in mind through Virginia's new health care programs. They've helped us bring this show on the air. When we come back, there's a caregiver you can have that may not talk to you. They might just bark. Stay tuned.